Hey everybody, back again today with another tutorial. I wanted to do this really big coaster mould and I wanted to measure out exactly how much epoxy to use in one of these moulds. So I did the water test and we came up with 300 millilitres in the complete mould. So with your epoxy you're using 150 ml of part A and 150 of part B. Now I'm thinking that that could potentially still be a little bit too much, because once you add your glitter it'll obviously increase the volume. So that being said, as you can see, I've got a few other moulds laying around, which is what I generally do when I'm doing this anyway, to put any extra epoxy in so I'm not wasting it. So we'll get started. So what I'm using is again glitters by from Sparkles by Carby Designs. So I'm using Echidna mixed with Lightning Ridge. They're really, the sparkle in that is just gorgeous. I'm also going to use this purpley greeny one, Crow's Wings, which I've used before in a cup and I just really loved it. I also have Great Ocean Road, which is another one that I've used before. It's sort of a black tone, but it's just got lots and lots of sparkle. And this one here, I haven't used this one here, it's called Inland Taipan, and again it's like a holographic glitter and it's just got so much sparkle on it that I think it'll just be gorgeous in this. Now I haven't planned this out, they're just colours that I liked, that I thought that I'd grab and just, you know, throw together to see what they look like. And at the end I thought I may even use some of this. This is some that my friend from the United States sent me, and it's like it's called chunky sand, but it's almost like a white gold chunky glitter, and I just thought I'd sprinkle a little bit across the top. So like I said, don't know if it's going to turn out, but we'll just wing it and see how we go. So I've mixed up my epoxy. As I said, I've mixed up 300 millilitres, and I've made a mess doing it because it's everywhere. And I'm now going to add the glitter to it. I don't measure it. I'll show you. I'll just keep putting it in and stirring it, and then you'll see at the end the consistency that I like to work with when I do this. So I'm going to speed it up a little bit, otherwise the video will be way too long. Okay, so we're all mixed up. As I said, I didn't measure it, but I do like it quite thick in there, because especially the heavier glitter has a tendency to sink to the bottom. So I want to make sure that there's, you know, sort of plenty in there. I may even mix, just give me 1 second. I think I'm actually going to mix some of this Tasmanian Devil into these two black ones, just to give it a bit of depth to the glitter. So just bear with me for 1 second. I'm not going to put a lot in, I just want it to sort of give it a bit of, rather than have it the see-through epoxy between the chunky bits, I want it to actually have the black tint. There you go. That's better. That's much better. Yeah. I'm hoping that you'll be able to see the difference between those two. One sparkles sort of purple and the other one sparkles a bit blue. So I'm hoping there'll be enough difference. Unless I add a bit of, as I said, I don't go in with a plan. I just kind of start to do it and see where it ends up. So this will be a darker black. There's not as many sparkles. This will be the Great Ocean Road, which I think I'm going to put around the outside. So if it all goes to plan, these two should be slightly different when it goes on. So we'll see how it goes. Now the other thing I wanted to stress was this week a friend of mine had a severe reaction to epoxy, and as a consequence her face actually swelled up like a balloon. So Susan, if you're watching, I hope you're feeling better, and I can't stress enough your protective equipment. So the only time I don't wear a mask is if I'm doing a video, obviously because I have to talk, but I always wear gloves. It's really important to always wear gloves, and the nitrile gloves, because they will stop any of that chemical getting through. So having said that, I'm now going to get started. So what I'll do is I'll again speed this bit up, because all I'm going to do is just layer it in there and then kind of fiddle around with it to get it to look how I want. And if there's any left over, I'll come back at the end and let you know how much is left over, and then I'll put it into the molds here. Okay, so that's pretty much what I'm going to put in there. So now I'm just going to get a little bit of that and just kind of, you know, randomly sprinkle that around just for a bit of extra love, as I like to say. I'm only doing it between my fingers, literally just putting some on between my fingers and putting it on there. So I do have a little bit left. I'm going to set this aside and let it cure. I was lucky that there's a few bubbles, and I am going to hit it with my heat tool, but can't stress enough this step also. Don't get too close and don't do it for too long. It's literally just that and away, that and away, that and away, and away. And that's all you're doing, is just backwards and forwards like that, because you will melt your mold if you stay on there for too long. So I've got a bit left, like I said, so I'm actually just going to fill some of these and just see what I can make with these, because there's no, you know, you don't waste epoxy ever. Literally you don't, because it's expensive, and don't want to waste it. And you need to fill these to the top, otherwise they get like sharp edges, and then you'll have to file them, or you know, sand them, and you don't really want to do that. So I always try and overfill them, if anything. I've got this little mould here, which I reckon would make some really cute little earrings. So I'm just gonna put some of this into maybe this one. Just drop it in. I think that'll be really cute. If you cover up the holes for the hooks, it doesn't matter, because I usually use like a little Dremel thing and re-drill them. So I'm not overly worried if I actually, on these tiny little ones, if I cover them. These are bookmarks, in case you're wondering. I think that's what they are anyway. They came with notebook covers, so I'm assuming that they're actually bookmarks. Again, I've sort of domed that a little bit, and I'm actually going to do one here with the mermaid's tail, which you can't see because it's this one. Got no room left on my little mat, but I'm going to just fill this one as well with some of the lighter ones that I've got left over. It's actually starting to set a little bit, the epoxy, so I'm going to try and get it all before you can't work with it anymore. I'll show all these when they're done. I'll demold them and you'll be able to see what they kind of look like. So that was 300 milliliters of epoxy. Probably you could get away, and if you've got pump bottles actually, with the pump things like what I have, that was 15 pumps, if that makes sense. So 15 pumps will fill that mould, plus, as I said, leftovers. So what I've filled with the leftovers is pretty much those three. So it's not a lot left over, but you know, there is a little bit left over. So you could potentially go a little bit less, but I've heard a lot of people asking how much to use, and it's really difficult. You know, a lot of people don't know because they just go for it and see, you know, whatever they use. But I thought I'd actually measure it out to give you an idea of what potentially you could use to fill a mould that size. Now, this will take a good night to cure, so I'm going to leave this. I don't even know what time it is now. It's actually 1:04 p.m. So I'm going to leave this till tomorrow because, and actually I've got work tomorrow, so I probably won't come back to show you these until Saturday, because tomorrow's Friday. But then I can show you what they look like, demolded and finished. I'm still messing around over here with another mould that I'm feeling a little hoarse. It's very tiny and it's difficult to, as you can see, to get it into all the cracks that you've got to get it into. Maybe I should use my smaller stick. But anyway, thank you for watching. And like I said, I'll come back on, when I'm ready to demold these and finish the video off then. Thank you. Hey all, here we are back again. I'm going to pop all these things out of their little moulds now and then show you the finished product. So these little bits that are on the side of these moulds here that you can, I don't know if you can see it, those little bits there, a lot of them just flake off, and you can just use a little piece of sandpaper very lightly just to smooth out those edges. But they're going to be really cute little earrings. Take this one out too. Oh, that's cute. That's really cute too. Look at the sparkle in that. Take this one next. These holes I can just poke through with the Dremel. They're going to be bookmarks, these ones. You can put vinyl on there if you like, just, something written in vinyl and put on there, and then you can put another layer of epoxy over it if you want to, or just leave them plain. My little tumblers, they're going to be keychains. Okay, so now let's do this big one. I usually just break it up like that first, and then it's really easy to just pop these out. So that's turned out really pretty. That's the back of it. You could have it either way if you wanted. I actually quite like this way, but if you wanted to use the back you could. There's no reason why you couldn't. And these bits here, again, they'll just sand off, those little sticky out bits there. I really like this side too. Okay, so that's them. A nice set of coasters, and these colours actually work really well together. They're actually really pretty. And you can definitely see the difference between the two blacks that I was concerned about. So just to recap, I used 150 mils of part A and 150 mils of part B to mix up, and then I added the glitter, which obviously meant that there was more than 300 mils because the glitter would have made it, the volume increase. So you can probably use a little bit less than that, or if you're like me, it doesn't matter and you just fill up other moulds with what you're using. And again, please wear your protective gear, because a reaction to resin is no fun, and I'd hate for you to not be able to do the craft that you love to do just because you've had a reaction to the resin from not being careful. I don't wear a mask when I'm doing videos, but I do every other time, and I work in a really well ventilated area, so just for the short time of the video, it's not too bad. So as always, leave a comment, ask questions, happy to answer. No question is silly. We all have to learn somehow. And like and subscribe. Thanks for watching.